Nobody hands you a dream and says, "Here, let me carry this for you until you're ready." It doesn't work that way. Dreams don't come with caretakers or chauffeurs. They come as whispers, visions, callings, and they come with one condition: you must take full responsibility for them. That's the deal. No handouts, no passing the buck, no delegation. If it's your dream, then it's your duty to fight for it, protect it, nurture it, and build it. When people say they want to live a better life, start a business, travel the world, write a book, or make a difference, the first question is this: how bad do you want it? And the second question is even more important. Are you willing to take ownership of that desire? Because wishing and wanting and hoping, those are soft words. They don't carry weight, they don't build momentum. Responsibility, however, is a heavy word. It implies effort, discipline, and action. It says, "This is mine, and I'll do whatever it takes to see it through." One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that if they just keep talking about their dream, one day it'll come true. That somehow, if they're vocal enough, enthusiastic enough, the universe will notice and reward them. But the universe doesn't respond to noise. It responds to commitment. It responds to sweat equity. It responds to those who are willing to take the hit, suffer the setback, and still get up the next day and go to work. That's responsibility in motion. You can't outsource your dream. You can't delegate it to your boss, your spouse, or your friends. You can't rely on luck, fate, or timing. Those are just nice words people use when they don't want to face the truth. And the truth is, your life is your fault. Your success is your fault. Your dream, whether it rises or rots, is completely and entirely your responsibility. It's not your mentor's job. It's not your family's job. It's not society's job. It's yours. And once you accept that, you unlock something powerful: control. Because when you take full responsibility, you also take back the power to change, to improve, and to grow. Now, let me tell you something else about responsibility. It's not always convenient. In fact, it's rarely convenient. You'll have days when you're tired, when nothing's going right, when you feel like giving up. You'll have days when others seem to be moving faster, achieving more, living easier. But none of that matters. When you carry the responsibility for your dream, those comparisons vanish. You stop looking sideways and start looking inward, because you know this is your race, your path, your journey. And here's the thing: nobody else will care as much as you do. You might have cheerleaders, you might even have people who support you when things are going well. But when the road gets tough, and it will, most will disappear, and that's not because they're bad people. It's because it's not their dream. It doesn't keep them up at night. It doesn't wake them up early. It doesn't burn inside their soul. It burns in yours. And that's why the responsibility will always fall back to you. If you want to make your dream real, you must be willing to be the one who believes when nobody else does. You must be willing to keep going when it would be easier to stop. You must be willing to bet on yourself not once, not twice, but every single day. Because no one is going to give you permission to be great. No one is going to hand you the perfect opportunity. No one is going to lay down a red carpet and say, "Right this way, your dream is waiting." You must fight for it. And that fight begins with responsibility. Responsibility means you don't get to say, "I didn't have time." You make time. It means you don't get to say, I don't know how, you figure it out. It means you don't get to say, they didn't support me, you keep going anyway. That's what taking responsibility looks like. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it's the only way forward. If you're waiting for the perfect set of conditions, you'll be waiting forever. The weather will never be ideal. The calendar will never be clear. The doubts will never vanish completely. But once you decide to take full responsibility, you stop waiting and start moving. You stop blaming and start building, because deep down you know that your dream isn't going to knock on your door one morning with a smile and a cup of coffee. You have to go get it. You have to earn it. You have to work for it. Excuses are dream killers. Excuses are subtle. They sound like logic. They wear the disguise of reason. But don't be fooled. Excuses are the silent killers of dreams. They don't attack with noise, they creep in quietly, they justify delay, they comfort failure, and if you let them stay long enough, they'll convince you that settling is safer than striving. Excuses don't just hold you back, they destroy your belief in forward motion, and once your belief is gone, your dream doesn't stand a chance. Every person who's ever let go of a dream started with a few excuses. It's not the right time, I'm too busy, I'm not good enough, I don't have the money, I don't have the connections. These aren't reasons, they're escape routes. The mind is clever. When it senses challenge, it builds detours. It whispers, maybe next year, or when things calm down. But dreams don't wait for calm. They're forged in chaos. They demand effort in the storm. If you wait for ideal conditions, you'll be sitting on the sideline of your own life for decades, watching others live the life you wanted. The problem with excuses is that they feel comfortable, they offer relief, they let you avoid discomfort, avoid risk, avoid judgment. But comfort is temporary, and the regret that comes from not pursuing your dream lasts far longer. One day of pushing yourself feels hard, but one decade of knowing you never tried feels unbearable. That's the trade, that's the real cost of excuses, not just lost time, but lost potential, lost belief, lost identity. And here's what you have to understand. Every excuse you use becomes part of your identity. You tell yourself, I'm too old, and soon you believe age is a limit. You say, I'm not smart enough, and your actions start aligning with that lie. You say, I'll never make it, and you stop showing up to the places where success waits. Excuses rewire your mindset, they shrink your vision, and worst of all, they become habits, not just thoughts, but patterns. And once you start living in those patterns, breaking out takes real work. You see, the greatest enemy of a dream isn't failure, it's rationalization. At least failure teaches you something. At least failure moves you forward. But excuses keep you standing still while convincing you you're doing the right thing. And that's the most dangerous place to be, unfulfilled but justified, safe but stagnant, alive but not living. That's what excuses do. They trap you in a life that looks fine on the outside but feels empty on the inside. And the truth is, we've all made excuses. We've all postponed something important. We've all justified our way out of responsibility at some point. But at some point, you have to wake up and say, enough. At some point, you've got to look in the mirror and admit the real reason your dream hasn't happened isn't your past, your parents, your boss, or your city. It's not the economy or your education. It's not your schedule or your salary. It's the excuses. You've been feeding them. You've been protecting them, and now they're stronger than your drive, but that can change. It changes the moment you stop negotiating with your limitations and start challenging them. It changes the moment you replace "I can't" with "how can I?" It changes the moment you realize that most of the barriers you face aren't made of concrete, they're made of doubt, fear, hesitation, and procrastination. And all of those can be overcome, but only if you stop making excuses and start making progress. You don't need perfect circumstances to begin. You need a decision to stop blaming, a decision to stop waiting, a decision to stop explaining your stagnation and start building your transformation. No one's going to walk into your life and eliminate your excuses for you. That's your job. You have to wake up earlier. Work harder, study more, push further, and silence that voice that keeps telling you it's not possible. Because that voice isn't telling you the truth. It's just trying to keep you safe. But safety doesn't lead to greatness. Risk does. Sacrifice does. Showing up even when you don't feel ready does. People often ask what the secret is to success, and they expect a tactic, a system, a shortcut. But it starts way before the strategy. It starts the moment you stop giving your excuses a seat at the table. Because as long as they're present, your dream won't be. There isn't enough room for both. One of them has to go, and you're the only one who gets to decide which one it will be. Sacrifice today for a better tomorrow. Every dream carries a price. It doesn't come wrapped with a bow. It comes wrapped in sacrifice. It doesn't show up with a guarantee. It shows up with a test. The question is always the same. What are you willing to give up now so you can have something greater later? Most people want the reward without the discipline, the result without the cost, but it doesn't work like that. You can't live for ease and expect excellence. You can't pursue comfort and expect transformation. There's a trade, and it's paid in the currency of sacrifice. Success doesn't come because you wish for it. It comes because you were willing to say no to the distractions that everyone else says yes to. While they're watching another show, you're writing another chapter. While they're scrolling endlessly, you're practicing relentlessly. While they sleep in, you're rising early to create that sacrifice, not dramatic, not loud, just consistent. That quiet decision to keep doing what matters when no one's clapping, when no one's noticing, when no one even believes it will pay off. But you believe, and that belief is what powers sacrifice. The reason most people never see their dream is simple. They won't give up what's easy. They want success to feel like a vacation. They want the benefits without the burden, but dreams demand a cost. They ask you to delay the short-term pleasure for long-term fulfillment. They ask you to give up the short-term applause for the quiet grind. And not just once, daily. The battle is fought every day, in every small decision. Do you hit snooze, or do you rise? Do you coast or do you commit? Do you indulge or do you invest? Discipline is the companion of sacrifice. One cannot live without the other. Discipline tells you, do it anyway, even when it's cold, when it's quiet, when it's inconvenient. Sacrifice says, not now, so you can say yes to something better later. You're not just giving things up. You're trading them. You're giving up temporary comforts to build something that lasts. You're giving up good to go for great. And very few people are willing to do that. That's why dreams are rare. because the process is demanding. Some people will tell you to take it easy, to slow down, to just enjoy life. And yes, rest has its place. But too often, rest becomes avoidance. Leisure becomes an excuse, and years pass, and the dream remains untouched. Sacrifice isn't about burnout, it's about focus. It's about choosing the right hard things. You sacrifice your time to develop your skill. You sacrifice your money to invest in your growth. You sacrifice your weekends to build what others only talk about. And every time you do that, you move one step closer to becoming the person your dream requires you to be. People will not always understand your sacrifices. They'll see you declining invitations, skipping trends, avoiding distractions, and they'll wonder why. But you're not living for the now. You're living for what could be. You see a future that they don't. And when you've got a vision, you don't owe anyone an explanation. The dream justifies the discipline. The vision fuels the sacrifice, and when it gets hard, and it will, you remind yourself that your future is worth more than your current feeling. There will be moments when you doubt whether the sacrifice is worth it. You'll see others who seem to be enjoying their life while you're grinding. But here's what you must remember. There's a big difference between momentary satisfaction and lasting significance. Many people live for the moment and wonder why the years feel empty. But if you live for significance, even your sacrifices carry meaning. Every skipped distraction becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. Every uncomfortable choice becomes a seed in the harvest you're building. You cannot have it both ways. You can't spend like the world and save like the wise. You can't drift like the crowd and rise like the few. You can't live casually and expect to arrive at greatness. Sacrifice is the line that separates the dreamers from the doers. The ones who say someday from the ones who say today. And the beautiful thing is, the more you sacrifice, the more valuable the dream becomes. Because you didn't just imagine it, you earned it, you built it, you gave something for it, and when you finally stand in that future, you won't have regrets. You'll have results, not because it was easy, but because you were willing to give up what didn't matter in order to chase what did. Discipline builds the bridge between dream and reality. Everyone has a dream, a better life, a stronger body, a growing business, a thriving relationship, a deeper purpose. But between that dream and its reality lies one thing: discipline. The dream is free, but the journey, that'll cost you. It demands consistency, routine, and commitment to a set of principles that won't always feel convenient or exciting. Dreams are born in the imagination, but they're built through discipline, and the truth is, if you don't have discipline, your dream will stay trapped in your head while your life remains unchanged. Discipline is doing what you said you'd do long after the mood you said it in has left. It's easy to make promises when you're inspired. It's easy to write goals when the fire's hot, but that fire fades, the emotion cools, and then what's left? What remains is the structure you've built through discipline. That's the only thing you can rely on when the motivation disappears, which it will. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being committed. It's not about never falling. It's about always getting back up and continuing forward with intention. You can't control everything. You can't control timing, outcomes, or other people, but you can control your discipline. You can control your routine. You can control how you show up day after day, hour after hour. It's the one thing in your power every single day. Most people wait for conditions to change, but disciplined people become the condition changers. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They create the momentum. They don't let emotion dictate action. They let commitment drive movement. You see, discipline doesn't scream. It whispers. It says, just do the work. It says, this matters even if no one is watching. It says, you're not in this for applause. You're in it for progress. You don't need external validation when you're guided by internal structure. That's what discipline gives you: a backbone when pressure comes, a plan when chaos hits, a path when distractions surround you. And make no mistake, distractions will come. That's not a possibility, it's a promise. Life will try to pull your attention in 100 directions. Discipline keeps your eyes on one. There's a reason why so few people live the life they truly desire. Because the moment it starts to get repetitive, they walk away. The moment it's not exciting, they quit. But success is boring before it becomes brilliant. Discipline is boring before it becomes beautiful. It's not about fireworks, it's about foundations. It's about waking up at the same time, practicing the same skill, repeating the same routine. It's doing the small things with excellence until the big results begin to show. Most people underestimate the power of 1 hour of focused, disciplined effort repeated every day. That's where mastery is born. That's where breakthroughs are built, not in the rare moments of inspiration, but in the daily moments of discipline. It's showing up when no one else does. It's keeping your word to yourself. It's choosing growth over ease. It's rejecting instant gratification in favor of long-term gain. Every single time you do what needs to be done, even when it's hard, you strengthen the bridge between your present and your potential. People talk about how life is hard, and that's true, but undisciplined life is harder. Life without structure leads to confusion. Life without rules leads to regret. Life without standards leads to stagnation. But life with discipline leads to direction. It leads to clarity. It leads to power. When you're disciplined, you don't panic. You plan. You don't rush. You prepare. You don't react, you respond. That's the difference. When you commit to discipline, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop making room for laziness. You stop identifying with the version of yourself that settles. Instead, you rise to meet a version of yourself that is stronger, sharper, and more focused than you've ever been. Discipline isn't punishment, it's permission, permission to grow, permission to rise, permission to live life on your terms. Without it, your dream remains a wish. With it, your dream becomes a plan. Discipline teaches you that success isn't some mystery. It's a result. It's what happens when preparation meets repetition. It's what happens when ordinary people do extraordinary things consistently. That's the real secret, not talent, not timing, but tenacity. And tenacity is born in discipline. You don't have to feel ready. You don't have to feel inspired. You just have to show up and do the work. That's how you turn vision into reality, someday into today, and hope into achievement. You must be willing to stand alone. There comes a point in every pursuit of a dream where you will have to walk a road few are willing to travel. Not because you want to, but because you must. When you choose a path of purpose, growth, and greatness, it's not always crowded. In fact, more often than not, it's quiet, the cheering fades, the support thins, the company disappears. And in those moments, when you're the only one who still believes in your vision, you'll come face to face with one of the hardest truths of all. If you're not willing to stand alone for your dream, you're not ready to have it. Standing alone doesn't mean you're isolated forever. It doesn't mean you're doomed to loneliness. It means you've decided your commitment to the dream is greater than your need for approval, agreement, or applause. Most people fold under pressure not because they lack potential, but because they fear disconnection. They fear being the odd one out, the different one, the one who dares to want more. And that fear keeps them tethered to mediocrity because they're more concerned with fitting in than standing up. But there's no greatness in fitting in. There's only comfort, and comfort has never built a legacy. There will be times when your friends won't understand why you're working so hard, when your family questions your choices, when your peers laugh at your goals or call them unrealistic, and in those moments the temptation will be to shrink, to lower your voice, to abandon the dream in exchange for acceptance. But you can't afford that. You weren't given your dream to have it validated by the crowd. You were given your dream to fight for it, and sometimes that fight is a solo mission. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to act in spite of it. And when you're alone, when no one else is clapping, that's when your courage is tested. That's when your dream asks, are you serious or were you just talking? Because if you're serious, you'll keep going without an audience. You'll keep building without recognition. You'll keep pushing when every voice around you tells you to stop. The people who succeed are not always the most talented. They're the most committed, and commitment doesn't need company. It needs clarity. Clarity that what you're building is bigger than the loneliness you feel in the moment. Think about anyone who has ever changed the world in any field: science, business, art, leadership. They all had a period where they had to break away from the crowd. Their ideas were mocked, their vision was doubted, their work was misunderstood, but they didn't let that stop them. They understood something most people never learn. True belief in a dream isn't proven in public, it's proven in private. When no one's looking, when no one's listening, when no one's coming to save you or carry you, that's when the real builders go to work. Quietly, faithfully, alone, you'll face voices internal and external that tell you it's not worth it, that it's too hard, that you're not capable. You'll feel the sting of silence, the weight of uncertainty. But those are not signs you're on the wrong path. Often they're confirmation you're on the right one. Because if your dream doesn't demand everything from you, it probably doesn't mean much to you. Dreams worth having will ask you to sacrifice your comfort, your popularity, even your belonging for a season. And if you can't say yes to that, then you're saying no to the dream. Standing alone builds something in you that comfort never will. It sharpens your focus, it deepens your resolve, it clarifies your priorities. When you have to be your own motivator, your own coach, your own cheering squad, something powerful happens. You stop relying on others to validate your worth. You realize your value doesn't come from applause. It comes from alignment with your purpose, with your principles, with the person you're becoming. That's when you become unstoppable, not when you're surrounded by encouragement, but when you've learned to encourage yourself. It's not that people are against your dream, Most of the time, they just don't see what you see, and they're not supposed to. It was given to you, not to them, that vision in your heart, that burning idea, that impossible goal. That's your assignment, and it's okay if no one else gets it. It's okay if you're misunderstood. It's okay if you're alone right now. Because the real work is happening inside. The strength you're building now will be the foundation that holds up the dream when it finally becomes real. The solitude is not a setback. It's preparation, it's proving ground, it's where character is forged and destiny is sealed. When you decide to fight for your dream, you step onto a path that requires more than talent, more than desire. It demands transformation. You start by realizing that no one else is coming to fight your battle. It's yours and yours alone. You begin by understanding the true value of what you want and recognizing that you must pursue it with urgency. You learn that every dream has a cost, and that cost is paid in sacrifice, the daily surrender of ease in exchange for growth. You embrace the truth that discipline, not emotion, is the bridge that connects where you are with where you want to be. And eventually, you accept that not everyone will walk with you. Some steps will be taken alone. Some decisions will be misunderstood. But that solitude, it becomes your strength, because in those quiet, unseen moments, you prove to yourself and to the world that the dream inside you is not negotiable. The fight for your dream is not just about what you achieve. It's about who you become, a person of courage, of discipline, of sacrifice, of conviction. You don't fight because it's easy. You fight because it's necessary. And you keep fighting day after day because the dream is worth it, and so are you.